We have all of these random limitations on us as women, especially as women of color, when deciding that we want something better for ourselves, to move abroad, to have a better life, to just simply take a moment to rest. There's so many women who are doing this though, and I want you to see this video and understand that it's not just for them over there, it's also for you. Deciding that it was for me too is what changed my life forever. I was able to save up approximately $40,000 and move me and my teen daughter, as a single mom who does not receive any type of financial assistance or support, abroad. That is possible for you too. So if you're interested in hearing how I did this, please stay tuned. My name is Ebony. This is Soft Exit Strategy. I want to tell you about my story and like how it all started for me because it may look just like your story. There has been a record amount of layoffs over the past few years and it's not going to stop. So I want to start with letting you know that in December of 2023, I was laid off from my job and I had literally just signed a contract to be there another year. So I was expecting to be there another year. So when I signed this contract in December, I also bought a brand new car, my first brand new car fresh off the lot. And don't you know, um, end of January is whenever they actually laid me off. That's when I got the letter in December. End of January was my last day, and I literally had $700 to my name. So imagine my fear, imagine my remorse, imagine like how terrible I felt, and like, oh my gosh, I have ruined everything. I bought this brand new car. How are me and my daughter going to make it? What are we going to do? And this was a really promising job. And I know for a lot of people who are getting laid off, this is your story too. Like it's the best company. Everyone wants to work there. It's so great and all the perks. And then they just lay you off like it's nothing. Um, I have a lot more to say about that because I don't like how these jobs can simply throw you away. And I do believe this experience has taught me, at least, that it's important to have other streams of income. It's important to what you know, and use that information to catapult you into success. I ended up having to get a job making $17 an hour, which is way below what I'm used to making. But because I had been laid off abruptly, I needed another job. This job was also remote, and I really, girl, I can never go back to being in office 5 days a week. Possibly hybrid one day in the future, but being in the office 5 days a week was just not for your girl. And I was remote at my job back then, and I really wanted to stay in that. So I had to take a job making $17 an hour with $700 in my savings account, and that wasn't even really my savings because I had to spend part of that on my rent for the next month and my car note. My car note was $700. I understand now that was a bad financial decision, and I shouldn't have put all my eggs in one basket when it came to a job. But back then, I did not understand this, so I was really upset about it. But I worked this job. I showed up the best way I knew how to show up. I did what I needed to do, and I kept working this job, kept working this job, and then suddenly, I got a call back from another job making more than what I was making currently. And they asked me would I come on. So they offered the job. I took the job. And this is what started my overemployment journey. I know maybe you've heard of this or maybe you haven't, but this is called job stacking, where you have multiple jobs and you use those job stacks to kind of save up extra money, pay off debt, whatever you want to do, but you're making the income of two full-time jobs at the same time. I do recommend this 100% because it is what got me to my 40K so much faster. So at this time, I decided to work the $17 an hour job. I decided to work the job that I had just got. So I'm working two jobs at the same time. It's wonderful. But as I'm working the two jobs, the job that laid me off in December of 2023, yeah, they called me in June saying that they need me back and they want me back. So what did I do but negotiate terms to where I was getting the most money that I could possibly get? So I negotiated that money. I thought about keeping all three jobs, but that was a bit too much for me because the $17 an hour job, girl, I was taking calls. I said I would never do that, but I was taking calls and I couldn't balance that with those other two. I couldn't personally. I know people who do, but I just couldn't. Like my nervous system was like, absolutely not. So what I did was I took that other job because it was getting paid way more than the $17 an hour job. I quit the $17 an hour job, and then I had two really good paying jobs at the same time. You know, really good for me. Some people it might not be really good for it, but I was really happy about it. So I knew that this job that laid me off in December of 2023 that wanted me back, I did not trust them. I did not trust this job not one bit. And I knew in my mind that the only way I would go back is if I had another job. And I'm glad that happened because the next year in September, which is approximately about a year and 4 months later, they laid me off again. But this time it was different because I was smart enough to not let go of any of my other eggs in the basket. So the whole time while I'm working that other job that laid me off in December, I'm stacking my ducats. I'm stacking my ducats. I'm stacking my ducats. This was a grind season. And I know some people are against that, but for me in that moment, it was time to grind. It was time to keep my head down, do my work, be very, very diligent because even though I'm working multiple jobs, this is not to game the system. This is to help me out, but I'm still going to show up as a good employee and do my job. So I did my job really well on both jobs and I held out as long as I possibly could. Anyways, fast forward to, I want to say, end of 2024. I decided that, hey, you know what? I actually want to move abroad. I decided that in order to move, I would have to have a certain number of money to feel safe. So what I did was I went over my expenses and I seen how much it is monthly. I got my bare bones number, like if I get rid of the car wash service and the monthly massage membership, and I get rid of the car and I get rid of this and that, what is my bare bones number that I can live off of? Did I do a great job on the math? Absolutely not. Now that I've gotten better at my budgeting, I learned that there are so many little secret things that's coming out of our accounts and so many little memberships and subscriptions that we forget about. But back then, I had convinced myself that I could live in another country for $14,000 a year. And I said, well, if I can't do 14,000 a year, then I can at least do 14,000 for 6 months. And I let that be my number. And that's the thing. You have to come up with a number because if you never come up with a number, you'll always just be chasing a moving target. So 14,000 became my number. I think I got to about 13,000 whenever I booked my flight. And when we were leaving to go to Mexico, I had 14,000 in my account, and that was enough for me. So you have to figure out what your enough number is. Once you have that, the world is your oyster, right? So there were things that I had to sacrifice though before I decided to leave. I literally moved into an income based apartment since I was making $17 an hour, and I allowed that to carry me. I could have afforded something much nicer, but there were things that I was willing to sacrifice, and there were things I wasn't willing to sacrifice. Like I turned off my monthly membership for my massage place, but I did go to a different place to get massages that was much cheaper. But I was not willing to sacrifice like certain luxuries that made me feel like a person. Because if you work in two jobs at the same time, you need something to ground you. So having my every Sunday meditations outside at the park, going to get my monthly massages, sometimes bi-weekly, those were really important to me. But something like where I lived wasn't that important to me to where I couldn't go somewhere that was income based and it was like bare bones apartment. I was completely fine with that. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, especially if you're a single mom. But I did that and I was really happy with the outcome because it allowed me to save a good amount of money. On top of that, I was willing to sacrifice the kind of home I had, but I wasn't willing to sacrifice the area. So I could have got a nice big house on the other side of town, which would be considered a little bit more not the best area. I could have got a beautiful house over there, or I could stay in the income based apartments that's on the outskirts of the really good school district. So that's what I did to make sure that my daughter still went to a school that she loved. I took care of getting rid of any, again, subscriptions that didn't matter, that was eating away at my bottom line. And I began to just get a ball of momentum rolling to be able to do this thing called moving abroad. So moving abroad was a beautiful experience because, to be honest, we moved in February of 2025, and the goal, the expectation was that we would be gone in August so that my daughter could go back to school because she really wanted to do 11th grade year in the States, right? So that was my whole thing. I left my car. I didn't even get rid of my car. I left my car at a friend's house and I moved abroad, put my stuff in storage, thinking that we would be back in August. Well, on day one of living abroad, day one, my daughter looked around and said, Mom, I never want to leave. And I felt the same way. So we did it. I mean, we've traveled to other places, but for the most part, we live in Mexico. And it has been so beautiful. It has been so amazing. I cannot tell you. And there's so many women that's just like you and me that live here and all over the world because we've also went to Asia. Uh, Specifics of Asia, we went to Vietnam, we went to Thailand, we went to China, we went to Japan. We got to do those things. So, in every place we went, we seen women that look like me and you. So, I'm here to tell you that it's possible. And it's not just for older women and it's not just for younger women. This is a lot of us get this mindset that it's only for backpacking young 20 something year olds, or it's only for women who have retired early because they worked hard their whole lives, when things like this is for anybody who is willing to put in the work to create the lifestyle that they want. There's also a lot of opportunities to make money once you move abroad because, number one, your mental clarity is so freed up that you start having these downloads and ideas that are money making cash flow opportunities if you actually just root in them and see them through to the physical, from the spiritual, from the unmanifested to the manifested. That's what you have to do. And you'll be excited to do it because you have the mental bandwidth to be able to do it. Just think about how much time and energy and thought that we invest in these jobs. And then think about you taking a break, opening up that portal of like clarity and awareness, and then using all of that big brain that you have and all of that information you have and wisdom, using it for your own life instead of hitting the bottom line for a Fortune 500 company that don't care about you and just sees you as another number on a piece of paper. I don't have a lot of things that I would say I would do differently, but number one, I would not put myself in storage. And when I would look at content like this online about other women who were moving abroad, they said the same thing. And I still went and put all that stuff in storage that I'm still paying for today. Like, I'm hoping that in November or the holidays or whatever, I'll be able to downsize or at least get everything out of that place so that I'm not paying $100 something a month for storage anymore. But that is a expense that eats away at my bottom line. And there's some places in the world that for what I pay in storage times two or three, you can get a studio apartment for. You can get a studio apartment in some parts of the world for $350 a month. So my storage unit is eating away at what the possibility of my life could be. Number two, what I would do differently, I would definitely figure out a better phone plan service because I'm telling you, paying how much was I paying? I want to say 200 a month. Yeah, 200 a month for a phone for me and my daughter while being abroad. I mean, that is such a big expense. If you add that $200 a month that I'm paying, or that I was paying for my T-Mobile service every month, plus the storage fee, that is a place to live in a lot of parts of the country or a lot of parts of the world. So you need to get very clear about what your bottom line is and what is eating away at that expense and what could possibly be eating away at that expense if you're not willing to let go. Because I wasn't willing to let go of my things, and therefore I ended up creating a life where I hold on to my things. I have no access to my things because they're back thousands of miles away, but I still have them. Like, you have to be willing to let go so that you can open up and receive something better. So I don't know when or if I will ever return to the US. So the next time I return, like when I say return, I mean live. But if I return back this year, I need to clear this stuff out so that I can get back to my bottom line. That's what's most important to me. So I believe that so many things just weren't for me yet. And I believe that a lot of women feel like a lot of things aren't for them yet, that they have to work harder, that they have to wait longer, and that they have to wait 10 times the amount of length that then they actually need. I'm here to tell you that all you need is like one or two, like, very intentional seasons to get to where you want to be in life. And if you're willing to put in the work and use the brain power and have some discernment and also have some discipline, you can have every single thing that you've ever wanted. But I believe that a lot of it starts with taking a break and letting your mind and your body rest and be at ease instead of fight and freeze and flight response. And once you get to that space where you can actually breathe and just be with yourself, create routine that matters to you and not just matters to a company, you begin to open up a world of possibilities. And it starts with leaving. Girl, you are allowed to leave. You are allowed to say, this is not enough for me anymore. You're allowed to say, this is what I thought I wanted, but I no longer want anymore. You're allowed to say, this is a dream that's an old dream, and now I have a new dream that I want to chase. And that is completely okay. Don't let something like unfulfilled relationships or unhappiness at work or feeling like, oh, well, I did this degree, so I have to stay in this profession in order to meet my bottom line, because there's a thousand ways to do a thing. So if you like content like this, consider subscribing, consider commenting, consider doing things that let the algorithm know that you're interested in stuff like this, because I have so much more to share with you when it comes to moving abroad, especially as a single mother. It is for you. It is possible. You can have it all. You just have to have one or two intentional seasons.